says it's the end of time, and the Mississippi River, she's a going dry. The interest is up and the stock market's down, and you're only getting mugged if you go downtown.
Everybody, this is German Prepper. I just watched a video by Katzcradul, and I must say I love Katzcradul. She's a great person, she seems like. But I just wanted to make a couple points on her genetically modified video. I'll post this as a video response. But I just want to, a lot of people, when they hear genetically modified, they get the wrong picture in their head. And they think that, hybridized plants and crossbred plants are what she means by this. And it's simply not. I mean, I'm sure she knows the difference, but a lot of people don't because they're not gardeners. This here is my heirloom pink climbing tomato. I just love the shape of the leaves on this plant. It was a beautiful plant, and it's struggling right now because of the weather. But like I was saying, there's a distinct difference between the two. Genetically modified, for example, is like, well, for instance, when farmers were having problems with tomatoes freezing overnight, they took flounder DNA and mixed the DNA with the tomatoes so that they would tolerate lower temperatures and not freeze. That would be genetically modified. Now, when they took, say, a drought-resistant tomato and then cross-pollinated it with a disease-resistant tomato and made a new tomato, that is a hybridized tomato, and they are perfectly safe to eat. Now, that being said, both have advantages and disadvantages. After a couple generations, or even the first generation on an unstable cross-pollinated plant, when you take those seeds and plant them, you don't know what you're going to get. You may get a small tomato, you may get a monster tomato because of what's called hybrid vigor. But genetically modified plants are when they actually manipulate the genes. Selective breeding has taken, it's a natural thing. It's always happened. The healthy have survived, the weak have died. And that's what happens in nature. And man, through hybridization, has taken it a step further and intervened and sped it up a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, most corn you eat is hybridized. Well, actually now it's mostly genetically modified. I'm getting tongue-tied. I ain't even been drinking. But, if you plant beefsteak tomatoes next to Rutgers, and then you save the seeds, and the next year you plant the seeds and you get something totally different, those tomatoes are still perfectly safe to eat. I wouldn't save the seeds to them again, but they're perfectly safe to eat. Those are not genetically modified. Don't feel bad about feeding them to your family. They're still tomatoes. If you know what I'm saying, like, it's like a mule bred, or a donkey bred with a horse, and you get a mule. They may be sterile. They may produce whatever weird kind of offspring. Don't continue that line of genetics. But that's not GMO. Don't feel bad about feeding that to your family. A lot of people don't know that, and they're not gardeners. They haven't spent the time doing the research. A lot of popular quote-unquote heirloom vegetables, such as Clemson spineless number 80, are crossbred, hybridized plants. Rutgers, hybridized. Now they're stable hybrids. They've been bred so much that they have become heirlooms. But at first, they were developed in a lab. Rutgers was developed by the Campbell's Corporation, I believe. Clemson spineless number 80 was developed in Clemson University way back when. And it's perfectly fine to eat. By the way, I hate this bamboo you see back here. During spring, I mean, it pops up everywhere. It only stretches from there to there, but it'll start popping up way over there. I haven't decided if I want to run over it or not, but an SHTF, I can make bows and arrows and cages for my tomatoes out of it. But back on the point. I just wanted to point those points out. There was nothing wrong with what she said. She's a great person. Probably has forgotten more about gardening than I know. I just want to point out that fact. A lot of people don't know the difference between hybrids and GMO. They're not the same thing. Now, there are hybridized, genetically modified plants, because they're hybridized and genetically modified. That's another story. But between your basic stuff you grow in your garden, if it mixes, it's not a big deal. Eat it, enjoy it. All right. God bless everybody, and everybody be safe.